if this is interesting to you or you have any feedback for me, please tweet me. If not, and you want to read some of my opinions about testing, because I am a tester, first and foremost. I do have a blog if you want to have a look at that. Little bit of background, I've only been testing for 5 years, so I feel like a little bit of an imposter right now after watching all these amazing talks, so I'm now terrified. Started out as a test consultant and somehow managed to make it to a QA test lead in quite a short space of time, so I guess the imposter just got worse and worse. I will be around after this, so if you want to have a chat about things like mobile testing, general weird UI quirks, because I love them as a tester, agile processes, or if you're really not into testing and that's not your thing, really like board games and heavy metal, so if you've got any recommendations, that'd be good, as well as food. So if anyone knows any great cafes anywhere in the UK, please tell me and tweet me, because you'll probably make my day just because I love cake. So what am I going to cover? It's normally a half-hour talk, so I'm going to try and smash through this in 15 minutes. So what is imposter syndrome, first and foremost, because about 70% of people in tech have it. What it feels like, because it's not the same to everyone else. You might relate to everything I'm going to say, you might relate to parts of it, it's all on a scale. As well as silencing what I've dubbed the Imposter Goblin, because I also like, as board games, Dungeons and Dragons, make it a little bit of a fight, and it's a goblin, so you can feel a little bit better mentally and psych yourself up. So, the official definition is a persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved. So it's that overall thing of not just self-doubt, it's affecting everything about your day-to-day. Everything that you do, you constantly have to question it because you can't believe that you can just do it as yourself. It's more than just self-doubt, as I've said, but there's also that thing of you might see 4 devs or whatever role. They don't do the same thing. There's 2 different types of mice in this meme. They do completely different jobs, so comparing yourself to somebody else is probably just going to make it worse. So general career life is, the longer that you get into something, the more you realize you don't know about it, and you'll end up in some sort of valley of despair very quickly if you don't constantly have an internal kind of feelings monologue going on and addressing that, which I know as techies, we like logic, and feelings aren't very great, so having to assess that and go and look at that is not something fun. But it's getting past that initial phase of, I feel great about doing this, this is new and exciting, to, oh shit, I don't know anything, what am I doing here? So generally, reasons why a good thing happened to you go from, I worked really hard on it, to, it was an accident, I got lucky, something bad's going to happen, the world's going to end in at any minute because something good happened, right, that's how this works. So how it looks outwardly, so when you aren't willing to accept a compliment, or you'll compliment a friend and they'll just be like, oh yeah, that's fine, I'm just going to go hide, they can't do it. And you feel like people are being fake towards you. You tend to be quieter in meetings because you think your ideas are stupid, so you don't want to share them, as well as being a bit more risk averse because you think you sound stupid or you're going to look bad and people are going to find out that you shouldn't be doing your job because you're really an imposter, it's all fake, and you shouldn't be there, and someone's going to find out and you're going to get fired. So people know you can't do this and you're not going to want to chat about it. These are quotes that I've had from people when chatting to them. I'm fake, everyone's going to find out because I'm an imposter, I shouldn't be here. I got lucky, I had loads of help, won't take any of the praise or the responsibility for their great work. Failures are an option, so I'm just not going to admit when things go wrong. And when they get a compliment, they just kind of go, okay, thank you, I'm going to run away. How does it manifest? So quite a lot of studies are primarily done male-female. There's very limited information in how this differs with a person's race, sexual orientation, or any other factors to do with culture and life experiences. In women, it tends to come out a bit more as low performance, a bit apathetic, they just don't care when they get feedback, they're not interested anymore. Whereas men tend to get a bit more aggressive about the situation. Everything's a failure, you're never going to be successful, and everything becomes an attack and you get overly sensitive, so everybody hates you. How I feel. So I will put it out there, I'm not an expert in psychology, I did an A-level in it and got a D, so this is a very personal talk than life advice, because I'm an idiot, I think, as far as this is concerned. So I found generally 5 categories of imposter. You might relate to all 5, you might relate to just one like I do. So we'll go over mine first, because I'm going to pretend I'm a superhero just to make myself feel that little bit better. It's how many things can you do at once? Look at all of my qualifications. I can be an amazing parent, friend, colleague. Look at all the things that I can do in and out of the office. You're juggling a million things at once. You have to have a load of achievements because they make you look better, right? Because if you've got 5 qualifications, that means you're capable. And it's all a bit of a cover to make yourself feel better, even if they mean nothing, like an agile training course. Bit controversial, thanks for the laughs. The perfectionist, bit of a micromanager, bit obsessed with how things are going to get done. Somebody that I used to manage did this. She went in for an exam that was quite important to her. She passed the exam, did really well in it, but she didn't get 100%, so she felt like she'd failed, even though she passed and did really great. Still felt like a failure because it wasn't perfect. So things like automation testing doesn't have enough coverage, it's not good enough, even though you're still adding value by having them there in the first place, or you've not got enough documentation. The expert, so this is more meeting every single job requirement and what you can do. So an example of this would be men tend to apply for jobs when they meet half of the criteria because they'll probably be able to get away with doing the rest, whereas women, this seems to be exacerbated by, I have to be able to do 10 out of 10 things on this job spec, even if that's not necessarily true on what the company's looking for. So I have to know how to use everything and be amazing at everything, otherwise I'm not good enough. The soloist, which is a bit isolated, tends to retreat, needing help, asking for help, talking about things is a sign of weakness. So people are going to find out because you're weak and that means you're bad at your job. And the last one, the natural genius, if you can't do it great the first time, you might as well not do it because people are going to find out, which, if it's not good enough and I can't do it well, I'm just a failure. So fighting the imposter goblin, we're going to get rid of all of this toxicity in our lives and make ourselves a bit better, hopefully, or at least try. So I guess the things that I've done the most I can with is learning to take mistakes in my stride. Everybody messes up several times a day, every single day, and knowing that that's okay and owning them is a really important step. Taking criticism, it's not a personal attack. The person who's criticized you probably means well. They don't hate you, and you don't have to fall out with them over it, or go cry in the toilets like I sometimes do. Only you can make yourself feel good about yourself. So I call this reframing. So this could be, say you've got a 3-year degree, you're 2 years into it. Well, I've come this far, I might as well finish it because look at what I've already achieved. Instead of going, oh, I've only got this far, I've still got a year to go, the world is ending. So thinking about it from a different perspective and looking at what you have done in a positive light rather than just brushing it under the rug and pretending that all of the bad stuff's all that matters. Remembering that no one is good at something the first time round. As a kid, learning to ride a bike, how many times did you fall off it before you actually got to ride it successfully? And then asking for help, which I will admit I'm still terrible at doing this because it's scary admitting when you don't know something. So taking that first step is huge. And the last one, which my company taught me and has been mentioned earlier, celebrating your achievements. So the last place that I worked would spend a couple of £100 to take people to do the Crystal Maze Challenge as a celebration for finishing a project. So the company reminded us that we were doing a great job rather than having to remind yourself on a regular basis, which was really nice. And then the last one, which I'm terrible at, I'll say yes to everything, learning to say no. So if your manager comes up to you, I've got 4 things you need to do them right now by the end of the week, just say no. Don't take on so much. You don't need to cover it up to hide your insecurities and take on everything. You can offer alternative solutions. Somebody else might be able to pick it up in your place. You don't have to say yes to everything to try and prove that you are capable of doing it because they wouldn't have asked you if they didn't think you could do it in the first place. Sorry. So remembering to say no. You don't have to do it now. You might be able to delay it, but probably just say no in the first place. So since I've been developing this talk, I keep building on it. So I thought I'd give some advice as a manager. So if you manage people, it's okay to feel like this and remembering to communicate things like that. So constantly giving positive feedback, changing your approach with how you manage them might help. So give them more credit for their work, remember to recognize that, counteract stereotypes that they might fall into, or they might fall into certain behavior patterns, and picking up on them might help. As well as the biggest one for me was having my manager be honest about their own experiences and failures and things they did wrong, because realizing that your manager's not this almighty God that can fix everything for you might make you feel that little bit better. But as a friend and colleague, again, be honest about your experiences, compliment them. The biggest one for me is, or my friends in general, is laughing about your mistakes. So for a while we had something called the fail bear. So whoever messed up that week had the fail bear on their desk, because it was a funny little joke to make everyone feel better, going, well, everyone's had the fail bear now, right? So it's fine. And then reminding them to go home at the end of the day, because there's always that one person who'll sit in till 7 p.m. saying, I've just got to finish this because it's not good enough. Just tell them to go home, close the laptop, just send them. And then I chatted to one of my colleagues just before I came here, and he's never experienced imposter syndrome. And this gave me a slightly different perspective on it, because I hadn't thought about when you go and ask somebody for help, they've probably actually just sat and Googled it before giving you an answer, and then looked on Stack Overflow and then copy-pasted it, which I hadn't thought about before. It turns out not everybody has the answers, and they've probably gone off to Google to tell you it instead of just going, oh yeah, I know what that is. So they seem way more confident. So everyone's probably hiding their own insecurities, and it's okay. So I'm hoping that I've managed to get through that a bit quick. So hopefully you've got a little bit less of like the panicking, you've got ideas for how to cope with it, and you'll remember that you're actually pretty great, and you should just go out and smash it. And I'm just going to remind myself to breathe now, because I always forget to take deep breaths. So hopefully that's some helpful advice in the shortest time I've ever given it. So thanks.